2. We are live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Joe, do you want to know why some businesses succeed and some businesses fail? Why some businesses grow and some businesses don't? That's what this show is all about. Business, business, business. Ooh, look at these dapper gentlemen here today, ladies and gentlemen. For the people that are listening on the podcast, you can't see that we're all in, whether it's Mandarin jackets or sports coats. I don't want to mention any names, John. I didn't get the memo because he doesn't read, but he looks good today. John looks good. He's wearing his grandpa sweater. He looks very good in the nursing home.
Oh, it's a linen jacket.
Of course it is.
Thank you, John. As opposed to the memo that said sports coat.
Sports, yeah, that's okay. That is sports for John.
What is this? Not the 1960s USA sitcom or something? No, let's put our sports jokes. Our sports.
That's right, John. But John looks good. So,
and here's last time I knew that the material that is irrelevant. 20 people just.
Well, we'll get the next memo. Anyway, the other thing, let's do some quick housekeeping, just so people that are aware. I know people listen to the podcast, and you can listen to that on Spotify and Amazon and Apple and Google, and the list goes on and on. We are also now. All our shows are getting converted to podcasting on YouTube Music and YouTube Podcast. So if you have the YouTube app and you don't want to see our pretty faces, and I don't know why you don't want to see John or David personally, but if you don't, I understand, then you can just listen to us on the YouTube Music app or the YouTube Podcast app. All our shows, and Lost Dollar Business Club was invited, and we switched it over so you can not only see us, but you can just now also listen to us. So there you go. A little bit of housekeeping.
But only if you're wearing a sports coat, it would seem.
Oh, not made out of linen. Poor John. Love you, John. All right. And today, before we bring, John, it's okay. We do. We have lots of problems. We do. I have a list right here. There's my list of problems. Michael, who is our guest today? I feel like, what's my line? So who's our guest today? What's he playing for, Johnny? Tell us.
That's right. Well, we're continuing the trend of looking at very interesting and innovative ways to look at independent music. So we have Gabriel Majorie from the UK, who has his new platform, SongDrop.uk, and it's all about independent music and changing the way that it's electronically distributed. And he's going to have a lot to talk about in terms of NFCs, venture capital, music distribution. This will be a fun conversation.
It'll be something. And before we bring our guest in, Before we bring our guest in, we should probably pay some bills because we need to buy John now a non-linen sports coat. So
I like the linen sports coat.
It's stylish.
It's summer. What the hell, you people?
That's the time to go to commercial.
Please get the commercial on.
I just try.
Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bandicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bandicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club.
All right, we're back. John, we're over here. So, but this is it. We're back. John, you look good. I was just kidding with you. You look really good. I'm very proud that you have your grandfather's jacket on. Anyway.
Yeah. Look, by the way, linen is all the rage. So I don't know what you guys are behind the eight ball.
We're behind the eight ball.
I'm with you on this one, John. I'm with you on this one.
Yeah. All right. I rest my case. The two guys that are both in nursing homes like Lennon. Congratulations, gentlemen. I'm very proud of you. So we're going to bring in our guest, and our poor guest has had to listen to this. So for everybody, once again, Michael, his site is called
SongDrop.uk. SongDrop.uk. He's also got an app for iOS on the App Store.
Oh, excuse us. Better than what we have. All right. And there's Gabriel, everybody. You almost caught him by surprise. And Gabriel's wearing a hoodie for the people on the podcast. because guests don't have to wear jackets, and it's
That's
probably
right.
made out of linen.
Your
And
own
there you
swag.
go. So it's with his
I
own
just
swag.
think casual, if you don't mind, guys.
Absolutely.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
Well,
Totally
it trends well with the independent music, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
Very
it.
on brand. Very on brand. Well, tell us about it. So tell us about it,
independent
Gabriel.
music.
Yeah, give us the high level view of SongDrop, and tell us what it's about.
So SongDrop is about independent music. If someone doesn't know how the music industry works, but based on my experience and research, I would separate the music industry into two parts. One is the independent part, where you keep all of your copyrights and everything is do it yourself. While the other part is when you sign with the label and you give up a percentage of your copyrights, but there are a lot of investment coming towards to supporting your work. And that we can see it like mainstream music or the signed music part is a very straightforward way to maintain a career. But I wanted to focus on the independent part, but actually we don't have enough support, but still we want to do exactly the same as a person with a label would do it. And when I realized this, I wanted to build tools and solutions and the ability to provide support for independent artists such as me, myself, and my friends. And that's why I started to build basically SongDrop 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a up and running business. We have a website. We have like apps, which is constantly changing. And also we are trying to find solutions how to create um, basic like really good support and how to be able to provide a software solution where independent artists can monetize their work and build up a brand as you know when someone with a Warner Music behind or Universal or whatever. So that's what SongDrop is about. It's like a new business, new startup, but hopefully it will grow eventually through the
Yeah.
years, and we will be able to provide really cool stuff for independent artists to help them to maintain a career.
Well, you're
How many
already
artists do
doing.
you have
Yeah.
on your platform?
Sorry?
How many artists currently do you have on your platform? You said you've been doing it for 7 years. So how many artists are currently independent artists?
So I built the platform and the whole business for 7 years. We started around 1 year, and we have around like 60 users, so not too many.
That's all right.
But that's why I'm trying to talk about this stuff I built over the years, and hopefully, finding an investment for this startup, because one of the problem with the music industry and being a startup in the music industry is that the barrier of entry is extremely high. So to reach people who would be interested in using these tools and like start to market it is basic like without a proper investment is really time consuming. So hopefully in time it will be able to grow faster, but until this moment I'm just keep updating the softwares and talking with people, understanding more and more about the music industry and how to create solution for specific problems, because the problem still exists since basically Napster disrupted the music industry. And when we are talking about digital music distribution,
Right.
and yeah.
Would you think you were like, would you think, if I may, hold on, Michael, if I may, please, are you more like Bandcamp? Because I'm looking at your site. So are you more like what Bandcamp was back in the day, or are you something totally different than Bandcamp?
So Bandcamp is the main competitor because they are active in the independent industry. Basically, we can say like the two main competitors of SongDrop is SoundCloud and Bandcamp.
Okay.
And the interesting thing with the independent music industry that there are not many competitors are active and successful in this area. Why, compared to the streaming industry, when there are like dozens of businesses active and they're competing in this subscription model. Right. But what's similar to Bandcamp is that, yes, here you can buy songs and albums as Bandcamp does. We don't have subscription model. But what takes apart is that Bandcamp is more focusing on being a marketplace, while SongDrop is about building a community. And really, when we started to work on the app, we decided to focus on music sharing experience. And the idea is that how social music sharing will happen in the near future, hopefully on SongDrop. So imagine like SongDrop as like Instagram. So the drops are the Instagram stories, but for music. So when someone buys a music, they can share it as a drop, and it will create a 24-hour free access to the song, and it will help the artist to reach more people through these droppers within their network. So people will become music influencers, and artists will be able to reach a much bigger percent of fans by actively joining together these forces with the fans. So that's the whole concept of basically SongDrop.
Also, Gabriel, what is your background then? Is your background, are you a techie or are you a musician or
so I do engineer? Music. I'm a techie and also had a finance background. So it's really like these three aspects of I try to utilize my experience. And also what is really cool, I want to show you something which I think is really, really cool invention. Basically, through the years, I was working on this app. And I had a lot of research and development. And I want to show you something. So this is a CD. It's called Hand of Doom. And this is an old technology. And this is the new stuff called ED. And basically, it's a two-sided beer mat print. One side is the title. One side is the album cover. And if you scan the QR code, you can buy the music. So the whole idea is that if you go to a gig, now you don't have a ticket anymore because everything is online. And basically, when you have this in your hand, you can start to collect it.
Now, a company called. Go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
Tell us a little bit about the about this electronic distribution. These holding the digital album in your hand. What's the traction? How have you seen? Sure.
You left. See, you asked me a tough question. Actually, this sounds very much like the guy we had on from Community Musician.
Scott
except theirs, there's there's not a QR code. It's just what you tap it to your phone and it downloads. Yeah, so there seems to be a little bit ahead. Yeah,
it's a it sounds like a comment. I'm curious about the traction around this electronic distribution with the physicality of it.
So it's still in early track. We have early traction. The whole company is really in early stages. But this basically came through three different ideas, basically, how I came up with this solution. The first one was I was working already on SongDrop, and I met with this artist on the street who was trying to give away free CDs or CDs to the public. And I went to him and, I talk about I'm a musician as well. And I'm working on this solution. And basically we got along and he gave me this CD for free. I was super excited going home that I had an ability to listen to new artists. And I realized I don't have a CD player. So I wasn't able to listen his music. The other one was really, I went to vinyl stores to understand, the physicality of music. What does it really mean for a fan or for the physical distribution? And the third one was really about, like this collectible, like if you ever collected Pokemon cards, now a Pikachu card goes for $10,000. And why is that? Like, it's a piece of paper. So what really means, like, for a fan to spend that much money? And that's what gave me really the idea to create something physical. So even just a piece of paper, it represents something more deep. And when I combined this piece of paper with the QR technology, it allowed it will allow users or fans to have something in their hand, but also utilizing the new technology so you can reach the digital music itself. And when a fan have it, they can start to collect it. So if you have like 100 of these, that means like a huge value, because you will go to 100 gigs and you will get these in your hands, and you can exchange it with your friends. But also for the artist, if you have it in your hand as a fan, from that point the artist is able to make money, because when you scan it, you can buy the song or the album. So
there's a company we had on about a month ago called Community Musician. And what they do is they have a card like yours, but their card, I guess, works on radio frequency, and you just touch it to the phone. And when you touch it to the phone, it automatically downloads that person's song. So what their hypothesis was and is that you're a band, you can play a gig. If someone wants to pay you, say, $20 for your thing, they now they have your songs in the card, and you can tap it and wherever you want to go with it. So it's the same premise, but I think without the extra step. And for you, that may be an interesting strategic partnership, swapping your card for their card, because that is more mindless and easier than people having to do QR codes. Just a thought. It's the same premise. They don't have a website though for independent musicians. They're going after independent musicians and rehearsal studios, where you're trying to help that. But I think if you get, and I mean this in the nicest sense, a technology upgrade, you probably help them a little more, because it's less thinking, and people don't like to think.
Yeah, the problem, what you just said, is that it's not really about the data, how from one computer send the data or download from another computer. It's about when you get this audio file on your machine, how you will actually pay for this file. And that's not many companies are able to solve this problem. And that was, I believe, the failure of Napster, because the Napster had like an amazing technology. We are still using this technology, but what they failed is that providing the payment system, which actually would make it in a legitimate business. So when it comes to this technology, I provided the payment system as well. And that's what is really compelling to me, that you have this QR code, and also like this is like super cheap. It's like 20p to order. So of course, like this can be like, even you can make it from gold if you want, but the idea is to how to make so affordable for any artist, so the barrier of entry will be super low. So even we are talking about like 15 years old girls and boys who want to make a band, and they have something recording, so they are able to offer to print these out and give to their first fans. So the fans will start to be able to buy their music, and they will be able to iterate this investment back, so they can make another album. They can have more, like instruments and so on and so on.
Right, but people don't buy albums anymore, and they don't buy CDs. I take that back. People do buy vinyl, but it costs $10,000 to get a vinyl made. So that's why I'm saying, and I know Community Musician because they were here and I actually paid attention. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm saying they've already solved the payment problem. They've already solved some of the issues you're talking about. And also, when they tap it on the phone, theirs music is what they would call as good as vinyl. So a lot of the stuff on these cards and downloads is not as good as vinyl, right? It's CD. It's not the vinyl quality, which is considered by audiophiles the best quality. So have you gotten your technology to that point? And I know you're for startups, and they're for startup bands too. That's what I'm saying. It seems like you two are kind of doing the same thing. You may guys want to get together, because ultimately they may have the technology that helps propel you further, and also they can help you with your payment side. I'm just doing my investment banking thing now.
the
Apparently, I'm
US
making a deal on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
but the idea is really to have the new technology come together. So I hope SongDrop won't be the first and last company who really try to solve this issue. But I believe like combining the physicality and the digital world is the way to go forward.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd have to
and
agree with you on that, Gabriel, because there's a whole generation of people who are really into vinyl and really into having something in their hands, something collectible. But can I just backtrack a little bit? You said, so I get the beer mat, I scan it in, it gives me what? There's a timer that starts at the moment that I scan it in. I can only listen to it for a certain period of time. Was that? Am I correct in thinking that?
So if you don't have the album or haven't purchased it, you will be able to listen the preview, or you need to find another person who already shared that song. So the idea with SongDrop is that, like the drops are like a full preview for the song shared by a
Yeah.
person who already purchased the song and they are into this band. So they are sharing this song in order to promote the band in a social way. And when you discover this music through them, it will help you to connect with another person through music. So instead of an algorithm will tell you what to listen, you will follow another person because they are keep buying and discovering new music.
But that means, and it's a bit like maybe years ago, when one of us would all get together, a group of friends, we had just enough money to buy a vinyl, and then we'd all start putting it on cassette tapes. Is that the same sort of? Because I mean, that's only
Yeah, it's really like bringing people together.
One album for 5 people that end up listening to it. So the artists don't really benefit from that. I mean, you get people who listen to it, but you don't get the revenue for the other 4 people who've got the copy.
The idea is really not to, because like the problem with this technology is already there. So the Napster did its thing. It's not about like someone won't pay money, but just the ability to be able to pay money, that's still in a very early stage in the digital world. So like when you think about like what iPod did, the iPod was so successful because they made the hardware, they made the software, they made the distribution, and they made the payment system. So everything was in place. But when it comes to the global technology landscape in the music industry and distribution, we have the distribution. I can send audio data from my computer to yours anytime because that's the technology available. But the idea is that why I want to pay for money for you and how I will do it and what is the best solution to do it, that's something has to be developed over time. So I don't think it's about like people doesn't want to buy music. They want to buy music, but how they will buy it and how to make a software or a solution to make it super easy. Because if you think about now, you can use your phone.
I go back to the same
anything.
thing. I was just as happy that I had a cassette copy of my friend's album. So that's and at least if you're on Spotify, for instance, or you're on Apple, or you want to buy the tune, you buy the tune and you pay for it. You can play it as much as you like, but you can't share it.
Do you keep saying that the payment, and that's why I'm going back to community of musicians already done all this. So I mean, like I'm like they're, if you will, the Bugatti or the Koenigsegg of what you're trying to do, and you're kind of, and I'm not a fan of Ferrari. I like the Ferrari, which is nice, but they're actually trying to help the artist do it, collecting payments and do whatever, where the artist gets all the money and it's doing the same thing, but with more advanced technology. That's what I'm saying. It sounds like you guys would get together and you probably would do better together than separately, because it sounds like you're a little behind the curve on technology.
But
they're ahead of you on the curve.
Doesn't community think, you get the physical thing, you go to a concert and you pay it there. I didn't hear a payment system other than that.
So what happens at he could do it online, or they can do it, from what I understand. So they have cards, and the cards you touch the back of the phone and it'll automatically downloads.
But you have to pay it first.
A whole thing. or you can, or the artist can give it to you for free. So it doesn't matter, right? And if you download it into your library, that's it. So the artist makes all the money.
You still
so
needed
like $20.
Yeah, you still needed the app though with Community Musician. Remember,
or not. Only if you want to keep it in their library. If you don't want to keep it in their library, and I want to give Gabriel Michael's music, I can say here, and he can tap it to his phone, and that's a complete vinyl album, downloaded to his phone in a second, and he can listen to it. So it's no different than what you're saying.
What he just says, that probably the tapping has to have like some sort of chip technology built in, which is increasing like the cost of the physical stuff.
You're right.
What
the physical stuff
like is a 20p worth of paper basically. So you don't need to. So for example, this cost like 500. I bought for 80 pounds.
Okay.
And you got 500. And with that chip, I don't know how much does it cost.
So he charged, it cost was $3 per
the artist
that you could tap.
For the artist.
So that's the thing, like $3 versus 10p. So
what they are doing though is they are giving 25 or 50 of them free to the artist, so the artist can go when they play a concert, give them to the fans and have the fans pay. Because their whole premise is kind of like what Gabriel is saying. If you go to a concert or they're playing at a bar or whatever, people are like, give me your music, and they buy a stupid t-shirt or something like that. That's nothing. But if you can sell them your music, whether it's on this card or whatever, then all of a sudden they're good. So the artist may pay $3 US, but they sell it for $20 US. So they make $17, let's say, on a card, but then I'm walking away with the album, right? I'm walking with this physical album that I can put on my phone.
Just instead of tapping with NFC, it's a QR code.
Right, but who gets so explain the money trail. So explain how the money trail then works with your technology. Like I'm looking at this now as an investor because you said you're looking for money. So investors are going to ask these same questions. So I have this piece of paper, your card. I click it, and how much am I paying for now for the album on your card?
So the idea is basically on the album, there are songs, and you can add any songs as an artist. It depends on how you want to do it, but every song has to be in an album. You can sell the song for free or from 49p to 13.99, and for the album from 99 to 13.99. So if you have this in your hand as a fan, you scan it, and you can buy a song or you can buy the whole album. So the more money you will spend, obviously, the more money the artist will make. But let's say like from a 49p, the artist will get 25p in their bank. And how it works, you pay the money as an in-app purchase. The money goes to Apple. Apple takes its cut. Then we got the money from Apple. We take our cut and we send the artist on PayPal.
So
okay.
you use
I
Apple.
will send you like a link. Basically, I just created this website where you can see like how much the artist will get and how the payment is being sorted out.
And how much are you looking to raise to get you to the next step?
So I'm looking to raise for £250,000
right,
in order to create an Android app and 2 other apps, basically like smart TV app and consoles. Because the problem is like even what you said, Bandcamp or SoundCloud, these are the 2 main competitors. They don't have anything on these consoles or smart TV. While like on Spotify or the big players have software solution on every device basically. So that's how you basically reach 1 billion users to create software solutions for different type of hardwares who are, because like all of the hardwares are able to actually play music, and people are interested in, listening music on these hardwares as well.
Can you go into just a slightly more? I get the card and I scan it. What's the next step in me as what's the logical next step that I'm going to see as a fan of a certain band when I get this? How does the payment actually, what's the process?
So you got
So the process is like you scan the QR code and you decide you want to get a song or you want to get the whole album.
Right.
If you buy the song, you just press a button. You pay as an in-app purchase. Imagine like.
But you have to download the app though.
You need to download the app at this minute, but I'm thinking to add like another feature so you don't need to download the app. You just be able to buy online. But when the app is really like built to be able to store the data, be able to play the music, and be able to pay for the music and also share it.
So how do I pay?
So you pay on your phone as an in-app purchase. So if you ever played something like Candy Crush or whatever, like you buy your game products as an in-app purchase. So
yeah, so it uses your Apple Pay, right? It uses your Apple Pay to, uses your face or your code to just buy it inside the app. And then,
then when do I get paid though as a musician?
I download
if I
your
make
app,
25.
and that's
Wait a
how.
minute, John. Let me just ask this question before you ask about the app. So you're using Apple and their whores. So now I get 50 pence for whatever. I paid 50 pence. I'm the musician. You said I get like say 25 pence. When do I get my 25 pence? Because Apple is not going to pay you 50 pence. You're not going to be getting a check anytime soon. There's some minimums there. So are you just coming out of pocket to pay, or it's quarterly?
It's 40 days after the payment made.
40 days. Okay.
Yeah, the problem is like, so if you really want to go a bit deep, but the problem is that, Apple is completely monopolistic at the App Store. So even like I would like to use a payment solution like PayPal, so you would use the PayPal to pay the money from your phone to the artist's PayPal bank account. Apple doesn't let me to do it as a developer, because if I would do it, Apple would not distribute the app on the App Store. That's why Epic, Spotify sued Apple basically over their monopolistic behavior, and that's what it is. Like, that's why it has to work like this. And I want to do it, but that's the world, unfortunately, we are living in, that these big companies completely monopolistic over their own technology. So hopefully like it will change, probably like within a couple of years, because even the EU now is really chasing Apple to change their monopolistic behavior and monopolistic business policies. But at the minute, if someone wants to distribute any application on the App Store, they need to use their payment system.
Right.
But do you have to put your music onto Apple?
Yeah. Why is it on Apple?
Because if you want to create a smartphone application, you can have an Apple iOS system or Android. Because
that's have your own
story.
You can just have your own.
It's not
no,
like that.
You want it to be on a smartphone, is what you're saying.
No, I got it. But Community Musician has their own, if I'm not mistaken. So they're on Android and Apple. Their payments are different. I'm just saying. Yeah. So
imagine like now it's working like if you would create the TV in the 60s, you couldn't just start your own channel. You need to go to the government to say, I'm going to start my own channel.
Well, you have to go to the FCC.
The government will say if you can show your content on the TV or not. That's how governed it is now. So even in the 60s, you could create any horror movie. If the government wouldn't let you to broadcast it, there was no VHS cassettes to distribute it, and that will happen over time. But still, we are not living in that time, unfortunately.
I just wonder how many.
Look, if you
have
the app,
people,
if you want the app on the iOS, operating system, you have to go through Apple, and
yeah. Well, do you? I mean, how many people have Android phones as opposed to having Apple phones? What's this obsession with Apple?
It's not the obsession, but this is like these two company in charge. You like it or not. If you want to develop software solution with payment solution,
are there not people holders of music on the Android in the Android universe? Because basically all Apple is doing is holding your music and holding you to ransom until you pay through their payment system. Is there not an alternative to that in the Android world?
No, it's pretty much the same. So what I just said, like
Google Pay.
if you want to make sure that your application can be found and downloadable through the App Store or Google Play Store, you need to comply with their rules. And because their rules are monopolistic, you can have the best idea, but you won't be able to reach people to download your music.
But do you have to have an Apple app? I don't understand.
No, he's talking.
He's talking about pay.
He's already
Yeah,
said
I
that
appreciate-
you can
I
do
appreciate
an Android,
that.
but Android is the same as Apple. You got to go to
But why?
Google Pay,
Why is it?
you know.
What-
They
Why
are.
is
Right,
it?
because they control
that's
the
technically
technology.
it's
That's why.
technically, but it's
I
not.
want
It's
to make
technically
money.
wrong.
That's why.
But
Yeah,
wait a
it's
second,
technically
listen,
wrong.
It's technically wrong, and here's why. I'm Delta Airlines. I'm on Android and I'm on Apple. And when you buy your ticket, you're not buying it through Apple. You're buying it through Delta. Delta gets the money. They don't split.
Exactly.
You know what with Apple.
That's the point
So
I'm trying to make
Your
here.
your monolithic or whatever that's wrong. You can have an app and have your own payment system behind it. They just need to download your app. That's what people do. So if you're using Apple Pay to pay, you're correct. You have to do everything they say. But I can put an app on Apple or Google tomorrow, and I can use another gateway, and they don't care, right? That's just the way it is. They're not going to say you can't do that because they know they can't, because you have car companies that do it, airline companies that do it, scotch companies, cigar companies. I mean, I can go through the list, and none of them are using Apple to get paid, or Google. So I think that's a flaw. I'm just saying. And I mean, I'm just a finance guy. I don't know anything, but that's a flaw because I see people doing it today. So you can't go Apple. Screw Apple. You just need an app. You just need to then come up with a gateway payment system that you get paid, not from Apple. Just being on Apple, who cares? I can be on Apple tomorrow. I can come up with an app. I can submit it. I can do the same thing on Google, but I can use XYZ out of California or out of Gibraltar or wherever I want to go as a payment system to make sure that I get paid and not through Apple, so Apple doesn't take their cut.
But doesn't Apple?
That sounds good, but if you think about this, then why Spotify doesn't do it?
They all do it. That's why they sue, and that's why if you go into their stuff, they have their own stuff.
That's why they had to sue it. I mean, like, that's what I'm trying to suggest to you. Like, I understand what you are saying. It would make sense business-wise, but that's why it's called monopoly, And unfortunately,
how does Delta then get away with it, though? Spotify. If you go to the Spotify app and you buy something on Spotify through Spotify, Spotify's not using Apple. Apple and Spotify.
You already have to have a subscription with Spotify to even use their app, unless you're using.
But you don't go through an Apple payment system.
You don't go through Apple payments on that. You have to subscribe online.
Doesn't Apple have a contract that says if you put your app on the App Store, you have to give them, depending on the contract that you sign, a certain percentage of your revenue?
That's Apple to Apple. I'm just saying. Yeah, right? I'm just saying. Well, if you ignore the Apple obsession that the world has with Apple, and go to where the common people are, onto the Android platform, which is designed to be as democratized as possible, then you have a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, but you still got to go to the Google
perfect example, John, is HBO. Well,
but Google Play Store does not insist that I use Apple Pay, John. That's the difference.
No, but we're not talking about that. You don't have to use the payment system. They just say every 10% of your revenue, you got to send me to me.
But Netflix and HBO and Showtime and all these companies, you know what people do? They don't go through Apple or Google. What they do is they go onto the internet, they log in, and they join. Then they download the app, and then they put all their credentials in that, and Apple and Google see none of it. So what I'm saying is you got to think out of the box. Just to go, we're going to pay Apple. Screw Apple. What have they done for you? I mean, if Steve Jobs is alive, I'd say, yeah, great. But they're idiots now.
So he has to come up with it. Gabriel, you're saying you'd have to come up with a solution that doesn't require in-app purchases. You'd have to somehow create it where, okay, maybe you get to the app, but then you're doing the purchase outside of that.
You can't do it because even Apple has now the policy that if you do that, they can still claim the tax, even the payment doesn't run through them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so bad, the
But
situation.
that must surely only be if the music is sitting on the Apple Music
Apple.
database.
No, unfortunately not.
No.
If any transaction happens, the transaction has to happen through their system unless they will restrict your ability to distribute the app.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to figure out how Delta gets away with that because Delta
Because
doesn't pay Apple.
those aren't digital. That's not digital content. That's like that's almost like a physical product.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
so
It's a digital
physical,
ticket.
that's a bit
It's the
different
same
for
thing.
physical
No,
products.
it doesn't. No, Apple in-app purchases are required for
But I'm not
digital
buying.
content
But
and
I don't
digital
buy
subscriptions.
music or anything through Apple squat. Like I buy it whatever. And so I'm saying if you have your own website and your own this and your own that, and people go use your app to get to your website or to your side of the pond, so to speak, and you're buying it through my gateway, then no, I don't think Apple gets anything. I think that's something, and I think we should have somebody from forget
Yeah,
Apple. We should have an attorney come talk to us about this because I think there's something inherently wrong here.
What do you say, Gabriel?
Yeah, that's what it's called, monopoly.
yeah, most definitely.
That's what's
screw
wrong
Apple.
here.
We'll probably pull our podcast now from them. Never liked them anyway. Anyway, so there you go. Very cool. Well, to check out Gabriel's stuff, it's songdrop.uk.
That's right.
And then you can see what it's all about. And he's looking for investors. So if you think you want to be in the independent music business, you may want to have a dialogue with him and see what you can do. And there you go. If you can't reach him, reach out to us. We'll put you in touch. So, well, thank you. It's interesting. I like it. I think it's very, very cool.
I just
see how
believe
it
like the physicality is maybe it's not the ED or what you said, like the cheap stuff. But I think like when it comes to the NFT, that's why it's failing, because it's not physical. So when it comes to even just a piece of paper, people are willing to pay 10,000 just for a piece of paper. So that's what
NFTs.
so much.
Are you talking about if you're talking about NFTs and physical? That's just polydigital, and people are doing that all the time. They learned that from Bored Apes, when Bored Apes went to 1 million and down to 0. So the artists now, maybe not music artists, but artists are doing polydigital. So not only do you get the NFT when you buy their art, you also get the art. So if NFT drops, you still have the physical piece of art in your house.
Yeah, but I think like physical it's coming back, and hopefully we will see some iteration of a new CD or whatever, which are using digital technology and physical combined together. So if you go to a gig from a small band, you will be able to have a memorable in your hand, and that memorable will let you to purchase products from the band. And I think that's how it should work. It worked with the CDs, it worked with the cassettes, it worked with the vinyls, and still working. But when it comes to the trending of vinyl, make no sense to go back to a really bad old technology when we have a new stuff coming out. And I think that's this iteration will happen. And that's my opinion on this.
All right.
I hope you come back and tell us some more about it in a few months' time.
Yeah, thank you.
How you're moving on.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on this show. It was really lovely to meet with you guys, and nice chat.
Yes.
Nice
it was always fun. Thank you so much. Good luck. Cheers.
Thank you. Have a lovely weekend. Take care.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Interesting.
We've got to get an Apple in-app purchase expert on the next show.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's not even that. It's just that his technology seems antiquated after we saw Community Musician. And if I'm the musician, I would rather.
But here's the thing: if you're a small band, this is it's a no-brainer because it's very, 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 very
I'd agree,
cheap.
John.
Right.
But wait a second, I have a question. So you're telling me a small band can't pay $200? for the community musician cards that I tap, and I can sell my cards for $20 to my fans.
Yeah. But
This
you know
guy's
what?
giving me a piece of paper. And
Yeah, I
remember,
give you a
I'm
piece
not
of
getting
paper.
paid though, John, for 45 days. Community musician, I get paid on the spot.
No. You know, you're in a bubble of richness, you know, and you don't realize that the people that go to small venues and buy cheap beer don't want to pay freaking $20 for something that
Why
should
not?
cost them a lot less. And
No, that's
here
true.
you have a way of shitting on that model and say, hey, I paid 20p for this shit and stuff. I can sell it for $4, maybe $5 instead of 20.
That's not what he's saying. That's wrong. He's saying that you can buy per song or buy the album from anywhere from like say 50p up to
I think he said
I think he said
30.99. I think he said 30.99 was
that's
the max.
technically wrong, John. So no,
Yeah,
it's
no,
not that.
it gives you the
13.99.
ability. That
Would be
doesn't mean,
better.
but that doesn't mean you have to, right?
Right, but then you can't listen to anything, get previews. With community musician, once you get the card, you hear the whole album.
Are you an investor in community musician yet?
I am not, but I vacillate with it constantly. I just paid attention to what he said. I've seen the technology.
No, but I get
fascinated by
yeah,
it.
but I don't know. I get the idea that you'd want it as cheap as possible just to get your music out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If I go to a bar and I listen to the four of you or the three of us or whatever, four of us sing a song, and we're later in the summer we'll break up into a smaller band. But if I listen to the four of us sing and I'm like, that was really cool, but I want to buy your stuff. I go to you, hey, do you have something for sale? And I give you this.
Right, he's got to buy it on the, through
so
the,
to this, I got to do all this, and then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe my fan just bought this, and if he did, I won't see money for let's just say 60 days, right?
No, I see
My
what
whole
you're saying.
point. Right, so my other point of it is if with community musician, they've already bought their cards. I say, listen, it says $20, you can make it 10. Who cares? If I say it's $10 and I paid $3, I make $7, whether they sell me the money or whatever, cash me, however they want to do it. Right then and there, at the end of that concert, I go, hey guys, we sold, and I give a number. I made 50. We sold 50 cards, $10. You made that. There's Noosh. Hey Noosh.
Hi,
Yeah,
Noosh.
we're live, Noosh.
Are you selling money? Is that what I just heard?
Human slavery. But my point is though, as a band, I then have made money that night. I'm not waiting 40 days or 50 days or 60 days or whatever it might be.
Yeah, okay.
So that's my point. He's just a little antiquated in his technology. I think it's a good concept. I think they and community musicians should get together. They'd be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
That's
so
what
let's see. Shall we see now who's been making money or losing money?
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of
those.
Yeah,
a lot of that. Here we go.
I got one.
Welcome to this week's Lost and Found, uncovering dollar winners and losers, where we discuss dollars lost and dollars gained by various companies and projects.
And we are here. This will be fun. All right, John, we're going to start with you, then go to Michael, then I'll do a couple, and then David will probably have, God knows what he's going to have. So
All right.
this will be interesting.
This ties, beautifully with what we've just been talking, because the Department of Justice has just started, an investigation into Live Nation and the Ticketmaster, which are basically a monopoly, just like Gabriel said. They own the ticketing world, 70% of the market. They own 900 venues. If you're an artist, you have to use their ticketing service, and they force you into a 10-year, probably basically a long-term contract. So I'm thinking, this is all Biden and his political thing, because where the hell were they approving, a Ticketmaster merger, a couple of years ago? Where the hell were they? It's always too late, Johnny. But okay, let's give it to them. At least they're going to do something, maybe.
They're going to appear to do something. Yeah.
So what is it, John?
Maybe it's a
loss or a win?
Maybe it's a win for ticket.
All right, wait. First of all, they merged in 2010, John.
Music venues.
They merged in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't Biden. So you can't say Biden did. Biden didn't know. It was not whoever the president was in 2010 was probably one of the Bushes or somebody. That's who it is. Wasn't Trump, wasn't Biden, it was somebody else. So don't throw in this. This is
to be honest,
it's Obama, you yin yang.
Obama.
That's fine. I don't give a shit who it is. So Obama, listen,
it's irrelevant. We're just trying.
Yeah. Who cares who the president was? It's a joke anyway, the presidency.
When I was vice president, he said the other day, oh my God. Okay, let's not get into the politics of this.
Oh no, let's get into the politics. And make good shorts, John. Get into the politics.
Yeah.
We're just trying to work out if it's a lost or found.
I think it could be potentially a win, a gazillion
for the consumer.
For consumers that buy tickets. Hopefully it's a big time loss for Live Nation and Ticketmaster.
But wait, what did Biden say that you wanted to say that you were afraid to say that Ruth in the background is telling you can't say?
No, Ruth's not here, so that's why I'm
that's why he can speak.
She just went out for a walk.
Okay.
You think I could be this liberal in my speech?
No, I know better. That's right.
Or something.
Okay. Do you want to say? Do you want to say what Biden said that you wanted to say, or you don't want to say it?
I don't know. He was at some rally or something, and he said that when I was vice president, and he was talking about I forget exactly what. It was just, but you were president. When you ying.
Oh, okay, I got it. Oh, he's talking about when he was vice president, but what happened when he was president?
As amusing as this is for all you Americans, the rest of the world couldn't give a monkeys. Now, all the rest of the world is just interested in lost dollar or found dollar.
Fine, okay. So it's a found dollar for the consumer. It's going to be a lost dollar for the stakeholders.
Yes, that's what we're hoping.
Okay. That's what we're doing.
Very hoping. Mr. Michael, what do you got?
I'm going to reverse it and give you a loss for the consumer. And this is music related because this is related to Spotify. So Spotify created this ridiculous gadget for the car called Car Thing in early 2022. And it only lasted for a few months of production. But this goes to the whole issue of enshittification that our friend Cory Doctorow always talks about, because they're going to disable the Car Thing. It won't be able, the internet service won't work anymore. So you won't be able to use Car Thing at all. But they won't open source the software, and they won't issue any refunds or subscription credits for people who bought it up until this point. So maybe, but that's a loss for the consumer and probably a loss for Spotify too, but who knows?
Lawsuit. And I'm a Jew, so we don't use sue as a name, we use it as a verb. Love it. So all you attorneys that like class actions, there you go. Mike will give you all the information. Well, Spotify, it was good knowing you. No wonder Rogan came back to YouTube. Anyway, what do I know? All right, here we go. Here's a few things really quick before David saves the planet. BlackRock is starting to get into tokenization of assets. That's interesting for the people that know what that means. If you don't, read a book. Wall Street Journal says that churches are starting to franchise. So if you like Billy Joel and Sally Sue, you can now do a franchise model like a McDonald's. You can move your church from state to state and make it like a McDonald's. That's awesome. Wow. Donald Trump had to bring down an ad because it said in the ad he wanted to unify the Reich. So
no, that's just fake news.
No, it was in the Wall Street Journal, my friend, and the Financial Times. I'm sorry, it was.
Doesn't matter. It's been debunked.
I'm just trying to work out. Forget the fake news and the American politics. Who gives a monkeys? I'm just trying to work out if it's what have you got for us, Steve? Is it a plus or a minus?
Yeah.
These are all pluses. Wait, and here comes the best last two, which are pretty good. Banks in America, this is bad for the consumer. The banks in America are going to be required to keep less capital reserves, up to $75 billion. The banks will now be able to spend that haphazardly. So welcome to 2008 again. And finally, good news for the consumer. Bad news in general, because of climate change, airline turbulence is going to get much worse. If you know about the Singapore flight where one person died and about 40 people got injured during the week, there's a Singapore flight coming from London to Singapore over the Malaysian border, hit turbulence. A gentleman that was 73 years old died. 50 people are in the hospital, some with spinal injuries they're getting operated on because it was unseen turbulence. But United Airlines and Qatar Airlines are working on more technology, which this part is good for the consumer, to help spot what they call clear turbulence, where you're not aware. But apparently, it was terribly violent. There's like 100 people injured.
And I guess
in the
what
flight.
they didn't have the safety.
Well, that's what I was trying to
on?
figure out. It's like when I'm in a plane, and John and I have flown together, whether it's commercial or private, and we all sit there with our belts on, unless you're going to the restroom, right, or the loo for the people in Europe. So I'm not sure what happened unless somebody was stretching. And I know if 75 people got hurt,
a lot of crew got hurt, and the gentleman himself
Yeah.
had a heart attack. So
yeah,
Oh boy.
there you go. Yeah. And I don't listen. If my plane is doing apparently what the article said, I probably would have had one too. So my condolences to the family. Singapore Air is saying they're trying to investigate it. I know, like I said, United and whatever are trying to make it safer. And according to the article that I read this morning, air turbulence is going to get worse because of climate change.
okay. So
So,
that's
hey,
definitely
there's no such thing.
it's
So,
definitely a lost dollar then.
yeah, it's a lost dollar. On the technology side, it's a plus, but it's a loss just in general. And all these realistically are losses. Even BlackRock with their tokenization, churches starting to be franchises, the Trump thing, whether
I
it was
think we'll
true or
have to
not, was
just.
in all the real papers. That's it.
I mean, I'm totally lost on the show. I'm sure most of the listeners are lost as to what. So we just try and keep them to like one or two items.
I hate doing that. It's no fun. I like to do it a lot. I want people to think. I want them to go, "Oh my God, got to be exciting." All right,
Well,
David,
they are
video.
going, "Oh my God!" They're going, "Oh my God!" I can't remember if it's a loss or a win.
I know. You know what's really good? They can go back and rewatch it. We get, and then we keep watching it.
Yeah, they could.
What do you got, David?
I've got something for which I found absolutely fascinating. It's and I've got a little film to follow it up.
Of course you
I'll
do.
start it off then. It's a laser printing on fallen leaves, which enables them to produce electronic sensors. You can imagine that is going to be, amazing. Here we go. There's a little bit of how it works. Yeah, I just like to say I'm not.
A new use for fallen leaves.
Yeah, I'm not responsible for the video, by the way. So, so what they're 3D printing this stuff, basically because there is so much throwaway plastics in the medical industry, and everybody's trying to look to cut down costs, etc., and they found a way then of printing with this particular printer. It changes the cellulose when they print it with this laser printer, changes it into a form of graphite, and that graphite they could then manipulate into small circuits, and
very fragile. It sounds like.
But a lot of it is for they're using it at the moment. They're testing it on things like, dopamine and paracetamol levels, just as proof of concept. But in a hospital, of course, I mean the little things that they put on here if you're in intensive care and you're all wired up cost an absolute fortune, and it's all single-use plastics, and this is done in São Paulo, I think, so in Brazil. So there's just somebody who's it's it's the São Paulo Research Foundation. So the one thing they do have in abundance, of course, are leaves. And so people are just looking for an alternative to use, nature's byproduct, and at the same time cut down on single-use plastics. Only to be applauded, I think.
And they're going to charge you the same amount of money when they use it. So it doesn't matter. So it's more profit.
That for me is a found.
Anything that gets rid of single-use plastics is a definite win. So let's see.
By the way, talking about politics in Holland, I think it's a lady who's an MP, and she's now being either prosecuted or investigated, but she put a video out on Twitter, I believe, or Instagram or something that talked about immigration and stuff. I thought Holland was a democracy, and there was this thing about free speech, but it seems like no can do there.
Well, we have this hate speech thing here as well. So
Yeah. So, but if you go against basically the official
Government.
propaganda,
Yeah.
then it's considered hate. So yeah, we'll investigate.
Yeah,
Wow.
well,
Drawing
well,
line.
the
Call
thing
it
about
hate.
it
We're
is,
getting there.
the thing about it is we're drowning in a lake of woke bullshit,
Yeah.
and so
Mhm.
and it's changed so much. I originally came here into Holland, lived in Holland in the mid to late 1980s, and it was a remarkably liberal place. And I felt, coming from Thatcher's Britain, I thought, well, I found like my El Dorado, as it was. And crazy enough, through the years, it's become more and more and more and more and more conservative. And now we have this situation where people are just scared to say anything because everybody has a point of view about it. I had a discussion with a family member. I'll leave it like that. Who wasn't my partner, somebody else, and talking about friends. And then one of this particular friend of my family member is I said something about, well, how's she doing? And the feedback I got was she's non-binary, so it's not a she, it's a they. And and so I'm having all of these sort of things happening around me, and I had this discussion on another show. I don't understand it. It's not like I don't want to be.
That's not conservative. That's just
Yeah.
left wing wackoness. Woke. Bullshit.
So
I love it. Thank you, John.
And when I
No
and
roost
when,
out
and
there.
when I said when I made the comment about like, well, I don't, I mean, I didn't help it by saying, well, if it's not a he or a she, it's an it, of course. But
Oh
that
boy.
doesn't help. Yeah, but to me, I mean, like, grammatically speaking, that's how it is. But I was then accused of not knowing. Oh, you should know this stuff.
Oh no.
So the sea of woke poo that I'm currently swimming in.
Oh no.
How do I? There's no shoreline to rest upon, to reflect upon what's right and what's not right. It's just it's all wrong.
Well,
So, there you go.
The
Talk
world,
about
unfortunately, is not becoming better. It's becoming worse, and it really is becoming 1984 or whatever that Sandra Bullock, Sylvester Stallone movie was with Wesley Snipes, where you got a ticket when you
Demolition
swore.
Man. Oh yeah.
Thank you. It really is becoming, and Jon Stewart said this about 20 years ago, we are becoming a nation of pussification, and it's the globe now.
Jon Stewart
it's just
said
a bunch of pussies. Jon Stewart said on the Daily Show, he said, we're just pussifying the globe. So we're just nothing more than a bunch of pussies. And it's the pussification of whatever, where you can't joke, you can't do this. And listen, you want to be non-binary, I don't care. But if I meet you as John or I meet you as Michael, I know. But then if I say to you, hello, John or Michael, but you're like, I'm this now, and I've known you 20 or 30 years as John, then you have to put up with it until I figure it out. And if I meet you for the first time and when I meet somebody for the first time, I say hello. Like I don't, other than that. But if I don't know what you are, usually if it's a waiter or a waitress, you can kind of tell. So it's like my dear or sir or whatever. So I've said to people, oh, my dear. And they'll be like, well, I'm like, I don't care. And they'll just look at me. I'm like, I do not care. You are a woman. I don't care what you identify as. I identify as a customer who's about to pay you. So my dear, take it, because the next one starts with a C. And we can go through the whole letter of everything I know. But it's literally like, I'm glad you're woke. I'm glad you think that you're this or that. But that's it. Yes, I have. I have no problem with it.
The funny
I
thing
appreciate
is
that fact, but I don't want to be. I don't force it upon me. Tell me about it, but do it.
Yes, exactly.
Respectfully. I had one person. I've had one person I know where I said, "My dear," and when I went to their loo, they bumped into me, and it was she was transitioning into a man with all the shots and she said, I'm transitioning into being a guy. I said, oh, okay. I said, I'll call you sir. I said, I got to pick one. I said, I'm old school. And she goes, no, I totally get it. She said, I just wanted to let you know. I said, got it. So when they came back, I said, thank you. And they were the way they did it was very respectful. it wasn't like like when you make a scene, and as John knows me, I will make a scene. I have no problem with that. I don't care where we are. But if you're nice about it and you tell me privately, like, hey, by the way, oh, cool, I'm good with that. It really depends, I think, on how they tell you.
Not even that, Stephen. Not even the private. It's the fact that because a decision is made by that particular person, it's naturally assumed that everybody else knows that.
Right.
You
and
know?
you don't.
Because I'm a bit slow on the uptake, and it would appear. And when you ask for clarification, you get this enormous pushback of, like, well, yeah, you're not for it, oh, you can't say this and you can't say that.
Right.
Well, yeah, a lot of things I couldn't say when I was a child, but I was corrected in a way that I didn't feel punished physically or mentally, and that I could move on and make better decisions in the future. But this guessing game, I'm not very good at.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Well, the other thing
Are you editing all of this out?
No, we're
still going on the show.
We're live, and I don't care.
Okay.
So, but I was going to say is I did know somebody that went from a female to a male as well. And I did say to them when they told us about it, I said, can I ask you questions? Because I was just fascinated, like why and this. And they went through this whole thing. We had a really long dialogue. And I said to them, just remember, I've known you X amount of time as Patty, so to speak, and now you're going to be David. So not that that's a thing, but, and it was sort of like, I may miss up. And they're like, God, and it was just, it was okay because they do it. But the ones that are just trying to make a point, like, how dare you? I'm like, you want to play this game? You have the wrong one, because I don't care who I embarrass, including myself. And if it's public or private, we're good. We can go toe to toe, like, Tyson and Paul will be doing next month. And I don't really care. And I'm like, if you do it respectfully and tell someone who doesn't know, because we don't know you, and you're our server, or you're our customers, or you're a person at an airport that you bump in, then it's different. Like if you pull something, by the way, like very low key, then I get it. I'm like, okay. But if you're trying to make a scene, I will help you make a scene. And I have no problem about that, because wherever I'm at, I can leave.
By the way, should we just finish the show off now? Because most people are falling asleep.
End scene.
Before we finish the show, once again, thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. If you want to be a guest, you know anything about Apple, especially on the monetary side, we'd love to have you. And if you are transitioning, that would be, and you want to have a dialogue about that, I think that would be interesting to the group. We'd love to hear it. If you don't want to come on this show, we have other shows you can come on, but we'd like to hear that. But once again, don't forget to subscribe and like. We'll see you here next Saturday. Next Saturday is us, or do we have a guest?
It's us. It is this group.
Uh-oh.
So we're
luck with that.
If we're not canceled.
Well, we own the station. We're good. So,
all right.
We're good.
All right.
See everybody next week. Cheers. David, take us home.